that when Billy Kay was speaking about Scots words, my late father-in-law, when he did his national service with the RAF in Norfolk, met two young Danish ladies who were having a wee bit of difficulty with his Paisley patois, and they asked him what the Scots word was for hello, and he said, "Keich." So, from Paisley, keich to you all. After the 2014 referendum, I really wanted to prove beyond reasonable doubt that Scotland could more than pay its way in public funding. And as a result of that, I started to do quite a wee bit of investigation, joined the Scottish Land Review Group, and being a conveyancing lawyer for over 40 years, and my knowledge of Scotland's land and places, I had an affinity to look towards land as the source of our public funding, and I didn't know what I would find, but as I looked into it further, I found that it was absolutely incredible, you know, what we could do with land as a source, principal source of our public funding. I think part of the reason for that was that when I was a student in Edinburgh, the only exam I ever failed was taxation, so I've hated it ever since. I even failed the resit, but I then decided, in order to get my degree, I would do international law and organisation. So I managed to pass that, and then since it was international, I went and studied in Paisley. And that was it. I managed to pass the exam, the law society exams. So this has moved from just being a way of sourcing our public funding, actually, to moving it towards a well-being agenda. And last February, or a year past in February, Kate Forbes very kindly agreed to debate the issue of land and taxation with me through the auspices of the basically the Yes movement in Oban. And she is about the only parliamentarian, I would say, who's actually engaged to any extent at all in this. Whenever I do presentations, I usually do about 100, I've done about 100 of them now. The parliamentarians are very quiet and don't say very much at all about it, whereas other people get very much engaged with it. But we keep plugging away, and I think that, you know, there is a movement towards this. And obviously with the emergency, the hardship emergency, which so many people are going to experience in the next wee while, more than they've probably ever experienced before, this is a way by which the Scottish Government, even under existing devolution settlement, could raise the money to not just mitigate the worst effects of the hardship and what's visited on us by Westminster, but can actually transform lives. So this is just, there's about, I think, five or 6 minutes just of slides. I'll do a wee bit of a voiceover over it, and after that I'll take all questions and comments that you wish to throw at me. Okay, so can we just start? Okay. So you just go to say. Here we go. Right. So I'll not read all this out. You just sort of read that. But my land, well, it's constant. It can't be hidden. Policymakers divide it into 4 land types: rough grazing, forest and woodland, arable and urban. And because most properties are over 1 storey, we double the size of the urban land type. So for AGFRR, Scotland's space, which includes land and all floor and roof areas, is 84,820,000,000 square metres. And that gives you the areas and the share of the land types. Urban is defined as all non-agricultural buildings and all buildings and land serviced by the public sewerage system. Now, according to AGRs, the total spending in or allocated to Scotland by all forms of government in the UK is over £81 billion. But AGFRR allows us to increase that substantially, as you can see. And it even provide £55 billion so that we can have a really useful citizen's income of £10,000 for every man, woman and child in this country. So it brings the total up to over 150, nearly £138 billion, £500 million. The suggested rates for land types, as you can see, rough grazing is 0.0166 pounds per square metre, woodlands 0.051 per square metre, as is arable, and urban's a whopping £10 and a penny per square metre. And you will notice in the right hand corner that over 98% of the total public funding is coming from what we class as urban. Now you calculate, this is how an owner of a typical suburban house would calculate the liability for AGFR. They would make the return online and pay the AGFR to Revenue Scotland, which is the Scottish Government's tax collection service. Here we show how AGFR, which will be calculated for space which is not standalone, so there are reliefs for agricultural buildings, how to calculate common property in tenements and community areas. Owners of urban land type properties can recover the AGFR from their tenants, and rural landowners can recover half the AGFR from their tenants. And to give you a flavour of the AGFR charge in some typical spaces, we've highlighted a modern semi, a small flat, a single fronted shop, a large arable farm owned, a small tenanted upland farm, and what Scotland's largest rural landowner would pay. An interesting one at the bottom, the 45,600,000, that is roughly what Mr. Anders Bolson would pay, even excluding the properties that he has. As AGFR will replace, as AGFR will replace all taxation, this is an estimated annual tax a person current average earnings pays, and what she will save if they live in an average type of property, a staggering £6,896 a year. But you must be wondering where all this money comes from and why we can save so much from our current tax liability. Well, it's quite simple. There is so much space throughout our country which is not contributing anything to public funds. Dereliction and a failure to maintain vast areas of public and private space. And some are individually very small, but taken together they form a massive untapped public funding resource. So here's how AGFR can let Kate transform Scotland. She can end poverty with a universal citizen's income of £200 per week. She can end the concentration of land in the hands of very few, so everyone who wants to own a share can do so without subsidising the price from the public purse. And with UCI, Kate can ensure that those starting and developing a business have the comfort of knowing that they have UCI to fall back on if their business takes time to become profitable, or even if it doesn't take off at all. And AGFR provides flexibility to change and increase land types. Kate can cap, relieve, or exempt the owners of certain types of spaces due to restricted incomes or other reasons. She can make Scotland the first truly property-owning democracy, where 10% of everyone's UCI is invested in Scottish business. She can deliver the land to solve the housing crisis, as the obligation to pay AGFR will force space owners who don't pay it to release land to be developed by the social and private housing sector. She can even encourage councils to raise most of their funds from their own AGFR land types and rates, so that support from the Scottish Government and natural land types charges could be reduced accordingly. This would enhance the status and independence of local government. And even if technology reduces traditional work opportunities, Kate can ensure people have fulfilling lives through the UCI and investment in Scottish innovation and development. As you can see, here we feature the principal benefits of Kate of AGFR. They are not just for an independent Scotland, but as AGFR can be introduced under devolution, it puts money in the pockets of all of us now, including those still to be persuaded to vote yes. It provides the hard evidence that pensions and other public services will be even better under independence. To conclude, this précis on AGFR, I think it's just about to come up. The table you're going to see shows that while AGFR offers tremendous improvements in people's lives under devolution, they're substantially better off with independence. It raises take-home incomes to levels enjoyed by our Norwegian and Swiss friends. See, £31,496 would be basically the take-home pay that an individual and average earnings with bank. So in the forthcoming independence referendum, I believe that she who controls all Scotland's public funds will control the debate, and IFR provides the control. This is my book, which is available for sale in the foyer if you're interested in taking it further. But in the meantime,